Shmuel Bet, and we are in chapter 2, verse 10. And we are at a period of time which started the big divide between the Jewish people. Later on, we merged again, and then we split again. We have two kings going. The first king is the son of Saul. His name is Ishbosheth. And the second king is David, who is just starting sort of baby steps as a king for the moment. Hopefully, let me just, sorry, here, all right, there we go. So, ben 40 shana Ishbosheth ben Shaul b'molcho al Israel. So, Ishbosheth, the fourth son of Shaul, who survived the war and what didn't die, Saul in the war, he asserted the throne, and he was ruling for 2 years. ושנתיים שנים מלך אז, שנתיים שנים מלך. So he was ruling for 2 years. But he was ruling over not all of the people of Israel, only everybody but the tribe of Yehuda. The tribe of Yehuda, Bet Yehuda היו אחרי David. The tribe of Yehuda was going after David HaMelech. David HaMelech was from Yehuda, and they, at this point, the word was going around that Shmuel was appointed David to do what he needs to do. That David is going to be the next king, and therefore the tribe of Yehuda were going after him, basically made him their king. Now, Ishbosheth was a weak man, very weak and very not fitting for the throne. The best heir, so to speak, of Saul was Jonathan, who also died in the same war, and he had two other sons that were better. Ishbosheth was sort of on the bottom of the list. One of the reasons that one of the reasons that he didn't join his father in the war, because he wasn't there. So how did he become a king of all of the 11 tribes? He was pushed up by the advisors of his father Saul. Chief among them is Avner ben Ner. Avner ben Ner is the strong man, the chief of staff, the head of the army of Saul. And he was pushing Ishbosheth to be the king. And he slowly was basically managing behind the scenes. It was amazing to see how he was managing every move. And he was the strong man in that kingdom. David was not manipulated by anybody. David was his own man. And he basically came to the tribe of Yehuda, and the tribe of Yehuda accepted him without much question. Now, so Ishbosheth, we're saying, was king for 2 years. However, the number of years that now David was not in Jerusalem yet; he was in Hebron. We spoke about it at length last time. The number of days that David was the king in Hebron, al Bet Yehuda, he was the king on the tribe of Judah there. 7 years, 7 years and 6 months. So the obvious question, which we started talking about last time, is what happened to the 5.5 years? If one guy was king 2 years and they were competing, so out of the 7.5 years, 2 years they were together. And what happened the 5.5 years? So some people say that Ishbosheth actually died. He was not. We'll see. We will go through this through the death of Ishbosheth later in the chapter. But some say that he died, but that's not likely. So the more one of the answers that I saw, I don't want to give grades to the Mefarshim. Who am I to give them grades? But the ones that I felt is talking to me more is the one that something happened in those 2 years versus the 5.5 years. And what happened was that the first 2 years there was no disagreement between David and Ishbosheth. Ishbosheth was a king of the 11 tribes, and David was the king of the one tribe, and there was no war, there was no skirmishes, there was nothing happening. The reason for it is because David was full of respect to the house of Saul. If you recall, he had a promise. He made a promise to the son of Saul, to Jonathan, and told him that he is not going to destroy the house of Saul. As we know, the common practice in those days is that when King 2 becomes a king, he basically wipes out the family of King 1 totally. So there are no heirs. There is nobody who can come and retaliate and take away the kingdom. And Jonathan was afraid that this is what David will do. So he made him promise, and David, for his total complete love to Jonathan and respect to Jonathan and Saul, had absolutely no problem. He never intended to act like a king of all the other nations. So he promised that no problem. So now, when Ishbosheth, which is a son of Saul, is a king, David is not after him. David is not after him. David is not doing anything to dethrone him. So that's the first 2 years. What happened in the other 5.5 years? What happened is that Ishbosheth's people, Avner, right, the strong man behind Ishbosheth, he was the one that instigating skirmishes and fights. He was the one who was trying to gain ground. What happened after the death of Saul, David came and became a king, right, in Hebron. And then Ishbosheth was not a king right next door to Hebron, where the tribe of Benjamin is, where Ishbosheth was from. He became a king across the Jordan River in the section of the 2.5 tribes in modern day Jordan. This is where sort of out of the way, away from the center of Israel, away from a place where the tribe of Yehuda and David can harm that kingdom. So he made his base across the Jordan River, away from David, in a place called Machanaim. All right, and and slowly but surely, Avner was trying to consolidate power across the land of Israel. So from Machanaim, he was trying to convince the other tribes to be submissive, to be the subjects of the new king, Ishbosheth, that replaced his father, Saul. And they were successful to a point. They were successful, slowly but surely. But after 2 years, it seems that Avner wanted also to get a hold of the tribe of Yehuda. He was not satisfied with the fact that he has the 11 tribes. He wanted more. He wanted the entire kingdom, just like Saul was. Even though at that point, he knew already that David was appointed by, or anointed by, Shmuel. So eventually he's going to be the king. But he felt that as long as the children of Shaul are around, they come first, and that's why he did the following, which ended up not working out so well for him. So Vayetze Avner ben. So at one morning, Avner ben, which is as we said, the powerful man behind Ishbosheth, behind the son of Saul, Ve'avdei Ishbosheth, and the rest of his servants, Ishbosheth ben Shaul, they left Machanaim, which was, as we said, east of the Jordan River, and they were heading Giv'ona. They were heading to Giv'on. Giv'on is right next to Yerushalayim. This is where the Mikdash, the Mikdash was, or the Ark, in that area. And that's where, that's a central city, which is fitting to be a capital city if you want to control everybody, including the tribe of Yehuda. Okay, so he's heading to Givon. Now, David is in Hebron, which is much closer to Givon than Machanaim, right? And David also has manipulated by that man, but he has his right-hand man. And his right-hand man is a gentleman by the name of Yoav ben Tzruya. Yoav ben Tzruya was David's nephew. Tzruya was David's sister. Yoav was her son. And he was his right-hand man. He was the head of the army of David. So, Yoav ben Tzruya, V'avdei David, sort of balanced, right? If we have the servants of the strong men of Ishboshet and his servants, to balance that, we have Yoav ben Tzruya and the servants of David. They also came out of Hebron, and I guess everybody had spies on each other, and they ended up meeting in some sort of a pool. Vayivagashum al brechat Givon. There was a pool in those days. Water was a big source, a big central area where people would come and meet. And there was a pool in the city of Givon. It's called Brechat Givon. And over there, it was a central location, and they met over there. And they were together, Yachdav, and that means that they were there, but they didn't really fight yet. So they all came in sort of to put their stake in the ground in that pool. So they were sitting. Some were sitting on that corner, and some were sitting on the other corner of the same pool. And then Avner, which is Saul's Ishboshet's man, right? So Yomer Avner el Yoav. And this is a very, very famous statement, which is shameful, but that's what it is. Yakumu na na'arim v'yisachaku lefaneinu. Let's have the kids. They all came with a platoon of people, right? With a bunch of soldiers with them, a bunch of men, young men, who were ready to fight. Yakumu na na'arim v'yisachaku lefaneinu. Let's have the kids play in front of us. Gladiator type. Gladiator style. Let them fight. Let them just, let's see who's better at war. Vayomer Yoav yakumu. So Yoav says, okay, you want a duel, we'll duel you that way, So it was, Avner demonstrated with that statement total disregard and no respect for the lives and the well-being of the soldiers, of the kids, Yakumuna ne'arim. Let them play amongst us, we are two big men. Let's sit and see what's going on, who's going to win. Now, and they meant that they're going to just, fist fight, or I don't know, so just fight and see what happens. So they had to select the two sides. ויקומו ויעברו במספר 12 לבנימין ולאיש בושת בן שאול לבנימין ולאיש בושת בן שאול ו12 מעבדי דוד. So because the whole point here was to see who can actually assert their power and be a king for all of the Jewish people. The Jewish people are 12 tribes. So the point was, let the guys that were accompanying Avner were already from 11 tribes, right? Because that's who he was ruling. So he selected 12 candidates from Binyamin and the rest of the people, the rest of the tribes that were around him, but mainly from Binyamin. And therefore, Yoav matched it with 12 from the servants of David. And then the fight started. ויחזיקו איש בראש רעהו וחרבו בצד רעהו ויפלו יחדיו. So they started fighting, and when you fight, if you've ever watched, I don't know, wrestling or whatever, they go to the touch, they hold each other's head, you know, they hold each other's head under their arm. So they were holding the heads of each other, and they were reaching out to their swords and killing each other. And they ended up, the 24 fighters, 12 versus 12, ended up killing each other. They were holding their heads, and they were choking each other, and with the sword, they were stabbing each other and killing each other. ויפלו יחדיו, and they all fell together, which was a total tragedy. ויקרא למקום ההוא חלקת הצורים אשר בגבעון. So they called that place the plot of the tzurim. Tzurim are a different name for swords. So it's the plot of the swords which are in Givon. The bottom line is they meant to have some sort of a skirmish, of some sort of a fight, and it escalated very quickly. And instead of having 12 fist fights, you had 24 dead people, which started the whole war. Nobody meant for that to happen. Definitely not the side of David. He did not seek this kind of meshugas. So the war started, and this is again a civil war number 2 amongst the Jewish people. And again, Benjamin, the tribe of Benjamin, is involved. The first war was the story of Pilegesh Bagiva, where all of the tribes went after the tribe of Benjamin and almost wiped it out, except 600 people. And now we have another war. Benjamin is leading from one side, and the tribe of Yehuda and David on the other side. So the war, the battle, was very, very fierce, was very, very difficult, was very, very hard. וינגף אבנר ואנשי ישראל לפני עבדי דוד. But the clear winner was David, the army of David, the group that represented David was the one who was winning, and Avner faltered and fell through, and his people who represented the tribe of Benjamin and the rest of the tribes that were under Ishboshet, and he lost. Just so you know, we'll see at the end of the chapter if we get to it today, maybe not. But it was 20 to 360, meaning 20 of the servants of the soldiers of David died, 20, and 360 on the other side. Now, if you deduct the 12 that were the 12 from each side, it comes to around 1 for 50. For every person that died on David's side, you had 50 dying on Saul's side. So that is a huge shift where in the previous civil war, the tribe of Benjamin was losing the war, but they were winning the battle. They annihilated a whole bunch, tens of thousands of other from the other side. And here the strength was shifting to the tribe of Judah, who was now winning against primarily the tribe of Benjamin. Okay, so that's we will see how the battle ends later. But here we have a very unfortunate event, the unfortunate event that will haunt both Avner and Yoav for years to come, and we will keep referring to it again and again and again throughout the chapters as we go through them. So here is just giving you a little bit of an intro. ויהיו שם 3 בני צרויה. So Tzruya, the sister of David, had 3 sons, Yoav, Avishai, Asael. 3 sons, Yoav, Avishai, and Asael. Those were the 3 sons that were that were the nephews of David. Yoav was the oldest one. He was the strongest one. He was running the show. He was running the army for David. The other ones were there as well. Now, we know that Yoav was, a wholesome guy. He knew a lot of, he was a hero, he was strong, he was knowledgeable. V'Asael kal beraglav. Asael, which is the youngest one, what his claim to fame was that he was running fast. Ke'achad hatzvaim asher basadeh. He was running like a deer, like a gazelle, He was very good with his feet. Now, the way it's being described here, it's not only that he was very fast, that he was also thinking with his legs. That mainly, he was not really all that calculated, and definitely not a politician. Definitely wasn't good at calculating what's really good and important. He was good at running. Okay, now, being good at running and being on the winning side, so he took the lead to chase after the losers. Vayirdof Asael achrei Avner. Avner, from the side of Saul, is running, licking his wounds, and had 360 casualties, and Asael is running after them. Now, he's running after them for what reason? He's running after them in order to get to Avner, because he was very loyal to David, and he wanted to finish this nonsense, and he wanted basically to hurt Avner or to kill Avner, and finish everybody knew that Avner is the strong man behind Ishbosheth, that he is really the one running the show. So as the one that so Avner was running away, he didn't, obviously he didn't want he had enough that day. But Asael did not let go. V'lo natal alechet al yamin v'al smol. He didn't move to the right or to the left. He was chasing him like that, ma'achorei Avner, right behind him. Some of the commentators are also mentioning that it's not only physical that he was running and sort of as Avner was zigzagging away, Asael was following, zigzagging right and left behind him, close behind him. It's also that Asael was not thinking of other options. When you want to get something, you can just go after it and don't let go, or you can be smart about it. Maybe you go to the right, maybe you go to the left, maybe you figure out a smarter way of getting rather than just chasing behind someone for a long time. So Avner, who was very strong and very capable, had enough of this Asael, sort of a flea, trying to run after him. Vayiven Avner acharav vayomer ha'ata ze Asael vayomer anochi. He told him, "Is it you, Asael?" And he told him, "Yeah, that's me." What does that mean? Well, he knew who he was, right? So it was night and he didn't see because of the night, and he knew that Asael is very fast runner, so he imagined that he is the one. That's the obvious explanation. But the other commentators are saying that he was also saying, "Is this you, Asael? Like, are you thinking, man? Is this really you? Is that what you really want to do? Maybe you should have other options. Maybe you should just retreat. Maybe you should, you won the war already. Is that the right thing to do?" Asael not being Asael and not thinking all that much, but just being just a good runner. So yeah, that's me. I want to do that. So Vayomer lo Avner. So Avner gives him another warning. Vayomer lo Avner, Netel lecha al yamincha o al smolcha. Just veer to the right or veer to the left. Just lose me, so to speak. And I understand that I need to provide you with a ladder. You're running in front of everybody. Everybody knows that Asael is running after Avner, and everybody was expecting you to come back with some booty, with some win. So here I'll provide you a ladder. ואחוז לך אחד מהנערים, and take one, to capture one of the soldiers, take them as a prisoner, you know, וקח לך את חליצתו, and you should take, strip him of his tunic, you know, take his clothes or his whatever he was fighting with, just you know, get some sort of a trophy, but get off my back. Because he didn't, you know, he initially didn't tell him why, but it was obvious, because Avner was the big guy, the capable guy, the experienced warrior, and Asael was not. ולא אהבה אסאל אסור מאחריו, but Asael was not listening and continued to, you know, like a flea behind him, to run like a gazelle and act like a gazelle, so ויוסף עוד אבנר לאמור אל אסאל. So then Avner was giving him a second warning, probably a third warning already by now. סור לך מאחריי, he says, get off of me. למה אכך ארצה ואיך אשא פניי אל יואב אחיך? Why would you want me to kill you? And then how am I going to look at Yoav, your brother, in his eyes? You know, how will I be able to go back to Yoav and tell, you know, after I kill you? This is not, it ain't fitting, you know. We're not a match. It's not like the kids in the pool that you have 12 guys and they both die, you know, 12 and 12, and they were equal strength. This is not, it's not fair, you know. I'm going to wipe you out. Why would you want to do that? Now, at this point, there is a switch here. Vayema'en lasur. So Asael refuses for the third time to stop chasing Avner, and at that point he becomes a rodef. What is a rodef? Rodef, I think we mentioned it at one point. Let me read to you a little bit from the Rambam. Okay, it's if someone chases after his friend to kill them, even if the chaser was was young, was minor, you know, minor meaning less than 13, and obviously not as capable as someone who's older. הרי כל ישראל מצווים להציל הנרדף מיד הרודף אפילו בנפשו של הרודף. So anybody, according to the Jewish law, anybody is obligated to save the one who is being chased, and even if it means to kill the one that's chasing. So if someone is running after someone else with a knife or with a gun, and you know it's obvious that, you know, one, if you just get aim or if you just get close, is going to kill him, we have to stop. It's a mitzvah to stop and the chaser, and even if it means to kill him. However, the Rambam is saying several halachot down, if you can save the one who's being chased by hurting the chaser in one of his limbs, meaning you can shoot him in the foot rather than shoot him in the head or in the heart or in the torso. If you can just aim to shoot him in the foot, and you're not doing that, you can trip him. You can whack him in such a way that his hand is not going to be able to pull the trigger. If you can do that, but you don't, and instead you kill the chaser, that is already murder. That's already, an act of murder, and it's not allowed. Okay? So, with that halakha in mind, now that Asael is after Avner for a long period of time, doesn't lay off, and Avner knew that, if he's just going to turn his back, he's going to get hurt. So Avner take the opportunity and kills Asael first. Vayakeu Avner ba'achorei hachanit el hachomesh. Now, what does he do? So Avner is a strong man and he has a spear. Okay, the spear has two sides. One side has the point, which is going in easily, and the other side is more dull. With the backside, he's pushing the backside without even turning, but he's so experienced, he's aiming to the fifth limb, rib, to the fifth rib. Now, behind the fifth rib, you have the gallbladder, and you have the kaved, the liver, right? So you have the liver and the gallbladder right behind the fifth limb. So and with the back of the spear, the strength of Avner was so much that with the back of it he struck him in the fifth limb through the body, and the spear went to the other side. It went through and through. He basically put a skewer into him. And he fell on the spot. It was instant death. He knew exactly where to hit his enemy. So there is no. He wasn't able to even take one step further. He just collapsed right there. Now, because Asael was the first one to chase, slowly the rest of the crowd, who was the rest of the soldiers, were running behind and were arriving. ויהי כל הבא אל המקום אשר נפל שם עשאל ויעמוד. So all of the other people who arrived at that area, at that spot where they saw Asael dead, they stopped. That shocked them, and they stopped. It's the brother of the head of the army. You know, he was known obviously to everybody, and they saw his dead body, and they stopped and stopped the chase. Now, just a little bit an intro of what's coming with this story. What's coming with this story is several things. Avner killed the brother of Yoav, right? So Yoav obviously is no longer going to like Avner as much, and more so, he will feel that he needs to revenge. He will feel that he is the Goel Adam. If the law is that if someone kills a person and they have a relative, the person who died, who was murdered, has a relative. That relative is responsible to try to kill the murderer. It's called Goel Adam. Unless the murderer runs to the special city, to the shelter city, Ir Miklat, then he's not allowed to touch him. But otherwise, it's all, all bets are off. You want to say something, Ivan?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but wasn't that self-defense that Avner?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. So what was in play here is Yoav felt that Avner was chased by Asael, and therefore you would say it's self-defense, because Asael would be a rodef, a chaser, right? And therefore, if somebody is chasing after you, you have to kill them, otherwise he'll kill you. But Avner was very capable. As we saw, he was able to aim with the back of the spear to the pivotal spot in the body that he, made Avner kill the Asael on the spot. With the same precision, he could have done it on his foot, somewhere else where he is not deadly. Avner was very, very skilled at he was the best soldier that maybe that the Jewish people ever had, and he was one of the best ones. So for him to aim exactly for where it's like death on the spot versus not was very possible. So from Yoav's side, he did too much. Like the Rambam says, if you can shoot someone in the foot and you shoot him in the head instead, even though he's chasing, it's a murder, because you shouldn't, you should have just stopped the chase, not killed the person. But from Avner's side is, listen, you chased me, I'm gonna do whatever I need to do, and that situation continued till they both actually ended up suffering from it. Yoav, after several, not long, we will see, we will live to see it very, very shortly. Yoav is taking revenge over Avner and killing Avner for the murder of Asael. But Yoav was not right to do that either. He was supposed to go to Beis Din. He wasn't supposed to do that, and he is ending up being charged with the murder of Avner, but that is far in the future. That is 40 years, 33 years later, 34 years later, after the death of David HaMelech, at the time of Shlomo. At the time of Shlomo, it was Shlomo Yoav made several mistakes in his life, excuse me, and that was the first one. And when Shlomo came to kill Yoav, he said, "You were not supposed to kill Avner." So there is a whole discussion in the Gemara. Yoav is answering him. Why? What do you mean? He was a rodef. He's so Saul told him. I'm sorry. So the discussion goes as follows. Yoav is being told that he killed Avner and therefore he needs to die. So he said, but Avner was hurting Asael, was hurting his brother in much more than he should have. He should have just hurt him, stop him with his limbs, not stopping by killing him, and therefore says Yoav that he should not be. Asael was killed unjustifiably, and therefore Avner is supposed to pay the price, and that's why Yoav was right to do that. Anyway, it's going back and forth. There were several situations like that, several mistakes like that. There was another guy that he killed. Anyway, but going back to where we are right now. So Avner killed the brother of Yoav, and that really created a big loss for the side, for David's side. Now we said that anybody who saw the body of Asael stopped chasing, right? There was exception. The exception was Vayirdefu Yoav Avishai Achrei Avner. Even though everybody else stopped, Yoav and Avishai continued because now they wanted to take revenge. They wanted to kill Avner on the spot. V'Hashemesh ba'alaim. It wasn't night. It was during the day. So that's why it was a question before. How come Avner asking Asael, "Is that you, Asael?" Of course he saw him. He knew who he was. But he asked him, "Are you thinking?" Anyway, but so Hashemesh ba'alaim, and it was sunset. Ve'em ba'ad givat ima asher al pnei giach. So they arrived at some sort of a hill, derech midbar Givon, through the desert of Givon, and over there, because they were apparently Yoav and Avishai were far behind. By the time they arrived at that location, Avner arranged all of the tribe, all of his soldiers, they regrouped, and over there was a stronghold of the tribe of Benjamin. So they had additional support. Vayikaptzu bnei Binyamin, all of the soldiers and the men of the tribe of Binyamin, they rallied behind Avner. Vayu la'agudah echat, so they became united. Vayamdu al rosh al giva echat, so they became united and they stood on one heel, meaning they had a better advantage in the fight. They were standing on a high ground, and it was once they're organized and they have a good position and they're united, and in front of them there are only two people, which are Yoav and Avishai. That's again, it's going to be not fair. Now Avner, after killing one of the brothers and see the other two down and see that he has the upper hand, is playing the big man and saying, "Vayikra Avner el Yoav vayomar." Again, a very, very famous statement. Halanetzach tochal cherev. Forever are you going to fight? Are you going to eat swords? To kill with your sword. What he was saying basically is, listen, there was a reason for the fight, and the reason for the fight is to win, and you won already. So now there is no point after you won, after you have the glory. You won 360, right? 20 dead to you and 360 to me. You won the battle. There is no point in continuing to fight. Because at this point, we're saying that a win is sweet, right? But when past the win, you continue to fight, then it becomes bitter. Because it's the end is not gonna. It's not fun to continue killing people. And until when are you going to tell your people to stop chasing after their brethren? We are brothers, so stop it. So Yoav, who is very upset at this point, his brother is dead, and recognizes that there is truth in it, and we should stop the bloodshed. So Vayomer Yoav Chaya Elokim, but he's saying it in a smart way. He's saying he's swearing in the name of God, and basically saying, you started. This morning you started it. You started it this morning. We met at the pool. We were sitting in front of each other, and you came up with a brilliant idea of let the kids play in front of us. I mean, you started it. You could have stopped it in the morning. We were brothers in the morning. The same rationale of not fighting existed in the morning. What happened? But nonetheless, Yoav recognizes that this is a thing to do. Vaitka Yoav b'shofar. So Yoav is taking out his shofar, which was the means of communicating in the battlefield in those days. Vayamdu kol ha'am. So everybody stopped chasing and stopped the food and to stop the chase. Achrei Israel v'lo yasfu leilachem. So they stopped the chase and they stopped the fight, and both groups went on their merry way. Not so merry, but Avner v'anashav alchu ba'arava. So Avner, even though he heard the blow and he heard that they stopped fighting, they didn't take a chance, and they went in the roundabout way in the plain all night. They were just trying to get away from Avner as quick as much as possible. Vayavru et Yarden, and they're going back to where they came from. Kol Bitaron vayavo Machanaim. They went through the entire region of Bitaron, and they got back to their headquarters, which was Machanaim, which is where they started the morning or the day before. Now Yoav also is not trying to hang around too much. Yoav shav ma'acharei Avner, and Yoav also left Avner. Vayikbotz kol ha'am vayipakdu me'avdei David 19 ish v'aseil. So Yoav also, when you are the Goel Adam, when you are supposed to take revenge over your brother's murderer, that murderer will put a target on your back as well, because he rather, now that you're chasing him. So Yoav was afraid that he's next now. So he also sort of, not with the tail behind his legs, but he was the winner, but he also came, he also was trying to put some distance between him and Avner. Anyway, the rabbi is here. I think we should continue next time, and let's hope that tonight we're not going to have a repeat of this kind of a stupid event where people are fighting for no reason.